Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger and my friends. In the last little bit, we've had an absolute deluge of Arc System Work news, not just the least of which is Testament is being added for Guilty Gear Strive. So I figure let's go into the Testament trailer in depth and figure out what's going on. Testament is pretty clearly enough very different from the original incarnation of the character, but there's still some things to be sussed out. So that said, well, let's get to it. The first thing to notice here is Testament's Raven is flying into the Scythe, and when that happens, Testament's Succubus pals appear. It would seem to be that the Succubi and the Raven are pretty much directly linked. This little bit of the trailer honestly was pretty easily missed because they go into the giant flowing locks of Testament and all that, you know, the heavy duty animation. So that's kind of blink and you'll miss it before we go into the big showcase. Now, obviously enough, Testament has a new look, not the least of which is the new giant hat, which seemingly to me is a bit of a reference to Slash, as it's basically the same kind of hat, and it's not like Guilty Gear is hurting for heavy metal references. Moving on, it looks like Testament's scythe is modular, because sometimes you don't see the scythe blade. Here it is holding a bird cage with the two succubi inside of it. And turns out the green-haired succubi can turn into the Raven, or Slash just is the Raven. I'm not sure which one of the two that's going to work out to be, but turns into a bird regardless. Not necessarily a new trick, as Testament's old succubus, who is seemingly different from these two succubi, also changed from the bird. It would sometimes attack as a Raven, it would sometimes attack as a succubus. As for why there's two of them now, because there only used to be the one, not too sure, but bird / succubus, it's a combo that's been there before. Maybe the pink-haired one is the original, perhaps, but goes to show anyways, Testament's toys don't really play along with each other too well, as the staff / scythe takes a giant bite out of her and kind of crushes her. So going into our first bit of gameplay here, we see, like, jumping-wise, this is perhaps jumping heavy slash, and then some manner of close normal. Maybe, anyways, because whatever this is, Soul is in, like, years of block stun before he can finally recover. Like, a lot of block stun. So if this is, like, close slash, this is going to be, like, the most plus close slash ever. So could be a special move, who knows. Then we go to this guy, which we see a few versions of throughout the trailer. It reads as a special move to me, as we do a hit, but then after the fact the hit launches a projectile in a delayed manner. So Soul does have to indeed block this move twice. So the startup appears a bit slow, but it's kind of like a screen eating kind of move. In that first you get the big move, the actual attack itself, and then the projectile that spews out after the move. Now into some of the more interesting stuff. So we see the bird attack, and the bird connects, and now Soul is filled with a bit of a purple aura around him. The succubi are indeed on the screen, but that's from the previous skull attack. I actually originally thought this was part of the bird attack, but just part of the previous animation. But regardless, Testament has always been a character that has been wrought with debuffs before, and this seems to be a debuff. Now, it could potentially be a poison style of effect. In the older games, when Testament Supers was a big old attack that made you glow purple, and that was indeed a poison. You slowly lost health while the poison effect was on, so this could very well be the same deal. Same color at the very least, right? So perhaps the purple glow is a poison. Our next little sequence here is interesting. So it looks like it's trading heavy slashes here, and then they both go for their projectiles. But since Testament's is two parts, as we've already gone over, well, Testament wins. The initial hit clashes with Kai's fireball, and then the actual skull projectile after the fact is its own separate deal, which hits Kai in the end. Now, following this, we go into another very interesting sequence of events here. So, first the bird gets blocked, but the purple debuff is still in effect, and then something hits Kai, but not sure what it is, but the debuff is gone after the fact. So perhaps, maybe it's not a poison effect, although it still could be, but it's like a delayed time bomb effect. Also here you can see the succubus chill after the blood skull, which is pretty cool. Whatever the purple debuff effect is, however, I feel is probably a pretty major part of Testament's game plan. The bird doesn't look like a grand projectile in and of itself, so it's all about the debuff. After that, we can see some more cinematic angles here with Testament, and I'm assuming a taunt or respect action here. Next up here, it's combo time, and it's pretty elaborate for what it is. First, we have, I'm assuming, crouch slash, and crouch heavy slash because we get the giant time stop effect on counter hit. Then an upward angled version of Testament's projectile, so the initial scythe hit, then the skull projectile after the fact, catches, then jump dust, cancel the jump dust hit into an air dash, an aerial attack, maybe slash or heavy slash, and then another special. As once again we see the scythe hit and then the skull follow up after the fact. So all in all, decent little combo setup off a counter hit crouching heavy slash it would appear to be. Once Testament hits the ground, it looks like Testament's classic forward heavy slash command normal. Next up here, crouch slash and heavy slash, and wait, what? It looks like our pal, the EXE Beast, has returned. So in older games, Testament had the EXE Beast, which was a very oppressive tool to say the least, where it was basically just a big sliding bitey head going across the ground. Now though, however, it looks like he's a straight up overhead. You can see that Zato is crouching and he still gets hit by the EXE Beast, so this move almost certainly has overhead properties and looks to be mildly fast for what it is. Not its only appearance here either, as you can see the EXE Beast shows up here versus Milia, except this time it's a low. So Milia is standing and then gets bit in the toes. This certainly seems like a really good tool to catch people asleep at the wheel. So even though Testament's actual animation is the same either way, you do get the little bit of a telegraph from the portal, because the portal will show whether they're coming low or high, but still, people don't always pay attention, and this will definitely punish them for not paying attention. Testament certainly has more tricks as well, as Testament seems to have the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Thanos teleport, where you just teleport directly on top and behind the enemy, going for a meaty jump in. Now, Guilty Gear being Guilty Gear, you can definitely 6P this, I'm very sure, although perhaps you can go for an empty jump, don't hit a button, and have time to land and block the 6P perhaps? Just so you don't get hosed for free by the dedicated anti-air, so there's like play and counterplay. We will have to file that under wait and see though, I guess. Here we can see Testament's dust, and it's pretty crazy looking as it's like opening a portal to a hell dimension, and then all the hands are trying to grab at you. That's mildly spooky stuff to say the least. Here we can see one of Testament's supers, so this is like a massive version of the EXE Beast, and it's definitely trying to tell us, yo, this is full invincible. Use this one to get out of pressure. And finally, close slash, stand slash, heavy slash, and then the beginnings of the big cinematic super, which, well, it's a trailer, so we'll have to wait and see on that. We don't get the full deal. So that's what we can glean out of the Testament trailer for the moment. It looks like Testament's going to have a bunch of interesting mechanics for sure. I want to see what the purple debuff is all about at the very least. And thankfully, we do not have to wait for long. Testament is out not too long from now, so look forward to it. There'll be a lot of coverage on the channel, and otherwise, we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Guilty Gear.